I just wanted to do a little introduction to leave here for anybody who ever might find this. It is March the 22nd, 2026 at 12:45 a.m. in Victoria, BC, here in Canada. Been practicing my speaking, as you can see. Sometimes I fumble and tumble and stumble with my words, and I'm going to get used to just making that a thing that happens, that might happen live and might happen in general more, because I think like being awkward like this and uncomfortable is how it's meant to be, and trying to avoid that, I don't even know. There's so many reasons why I think the world is set up the way it is right now. It's very restrictive, and that's okay, but the digital world, I didn't grow up with the digital world. I'm 45, so I grew up with like big cameras. My parents had like a massive camera that they followed me around with, and I was very grateful. Now everything is kind of like pixels and signing up for everything, and it can get really frustrating a lot of the time. And I think all we really want to do is communicate and talk, right? And like express ourselves. So I just want to be somebody who encourages that. And that's what this channel is for me right now. It's baby steps, baby growth. I'm not having a baby. I already have 4. I'm definitely done. I think this life was like massively about pregnancy and having babies. And I think, had I been a millionaire, I probably wouldn't have had babies. I probably would have just hired a nanny for myself, like I was saying to my friend today. But I'm very grateful that I got to be a mom, and it hasn't limited my passion or my experience or my creativity at all. In fact, it's only enhanced it even more. And I never had big dreams of being public or performing or anything like that. I was very happy with what I did growing up. I was on the stage. I liked to, be in my room doing art until 3 in the morning. When I was a teenager, I was very shy, and the camera and the stage were all things that were just me trying to go kind of outside my comfort zone and learn so that I could help others. So it's been a really slow process for me, and I feel like I've gained a lot of experience, and not all of it, actually quite a lot of it, has not been easy. And I think that that's to be expected when you take risks and go and think outside the box and do things outside the box, especially when you're neurodivergent and you just don't like how you're being confined, I guess you could say. I was always a dreamer, and so feeling like I was inside of a room all the time was really challenging. And I just wanted the space to be more of like imagination and ethereal and freedom, and that's just something that I think I was born with. I think my mom helped me cultivate that. I wasn't the popular girl, and I'm still not a social butterfly, but I feel like I can take some pretty amazing dives into society, into community, into where I live here in Victoria, BC. We're very blessed to just be able to walk outside and see all kinds of people, and there's a lot of embodying of neurodivergence, and I want that to be something that happens around the world, and not just like on our phones. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating as an artist who's very busy with their kids and stuff like that, to find a way for that to be, channeled and a way for it to be practiced. And that's why I feel like I've just been very slow, because I've had a very open heart, and I'm an open book, and I've had people come and stay with me from all over the world, and some of them have been medical, and some of them have been culinary, and some of them have been just people. And knowing that I've been able to like have interactions with people like that, for me, is enough to share. I don't feel like I need to do anything big or make a statement that's like really bold and like reaching the span of millions. I feel like sometimes it's just about what's happening, you know, in your heart and in your mind, and just feeling like you're in touch somehow, you know, in your moment, right? And all of your little moments that are strung along, and it becomes a meditation. So I've been around since long before these things existed, and they're very complex tools. They're amazing little machines, and you know, they come with a lot more risks than what we had back in the day. You know, there's risks of like, you know, judgment and like breaking rules, and I think it can just, it's the same, you know, it's the same kind of like unknowing and jumping off a cliff. And I'm just really happy that so far I don't feel like I need to delete my account because I'm sensitive and I'm the first to admit it. And yeah, so I wanted to have a little spot that there was a little bit about me, the fact that, you know, like not all the details are super important. I mean, I could sit here and list off like my care card number for BC where I live, but that's not going to make a difference, right? What matters is that I'm here today and I made it through another day. And, you know, I think a lot about connecting here because I don't want to drive halfway across the city anymore. And I feel like there's less and less time. I was thinking about it today, and my days go by very slowly because I'm just working on so many different things and I'm like so scattered everywhere, trying to figure out what to do all the time. But yeah, I don't feel like I really sit down and eat my breakfast or, you know, do all the things that I used to do. So it's all about adaptation, you know? And I think my mind works like a jet. Like it just goes so fast. Like I had a dream that I was thinking about that I had about 15 years ago, and it feels like just yesterday, but I dreamt that I was like getting into some kind of space shuttle rocket. And like I'm not like an astronomical kind of person. Like I'm more of like a brain and like spirituality kind of person. So this dream is just like out there for me, and I was like, what am I doing in this rocket ship? And I went like straight out the ozone layer. Like just I was out there, and then I just ran out of like energy. I ran out of like ammunition or whatever it is they use. And that's how fast my brain works on a daily basis. Like my dream was telling me that there's no stopping these thoughts. There's no stopping these feelings. Like people who have very strong imaginations and like feelings. I have very strong feelings about things, like, and not bad feelings. Like I have strong feelings about things, but you know, it's more of like a visionary thing. It's more of like the fact that I know a lot of other people have really strong feelings about it, and we're like dispersed, you know, like sometimes I feel like we're all like these little bits of static, right? From back in the day when static was like used more. I mean, people now have like their TVs plugged into the wall, but it's not the same kind of static, you know, everything has changed. And I feel like I'm trying to like create a space that's like open, you know, and that's hard because I feel like there's just so many steps that people have to take, right? And you know, I'm not against fame. I'm not, you know, I love certain areas of entertainment, but when there's a lot of people that have already taken, you know, a huge portion of like media, right? And then they're also using like social media, it can be really challenging. And it's like, yeah, I feel like the pathways become more narrow and, you know, less used, right? Like less traffic goes that way, or less, you know, busyness, right? And so cultivating communication and cultivating like connection, you know, with all of these apps, right? It can be really challenging. So, and again, I'm not against any of the crazy big investments and whatnot that are going on. I'm grateful for YouTube, and I'm excited to see where it goes. and where all of these other things go, like electricity and, you know, the world's resources that are being used to create these very dynamic and proficient tools. But creatively, I feel like, you know, there's very little kind of wiggle room, you know, and the more that we be vulnerable and the more that we bring new kind of like, you know, I don't want to say new blood because that just sounds gross, but like new, you know, new, just new stuff for the garden of the world, you know, new palettes, new textures, new, you know, expression, right? I'm gonna read all these comments later because I don't have my glasses, but I'm seeing hearts. I'm seeing hearts everywhere right now. But I want to like share the fact that every dream that I've had since I was young has been like moving, you know, and my daily life has been very stagnant and very like tied down, and it feels like gravity most days. And I think there's a lot of people who are thriving and expressive on, you know, our phones, right? And we get on there and it's like, wow, what a hit, you know? And that's happening inside of ourselves. And I know that because I've been feeling it and dreaming it for so long. And, you know, even just last night, I woke up at like 1 o'clock in the morning and I had this dream that I was in the bathroom and I thought that I was in the bathroom. And then I was like, I knew I wasn't. And then I just ended up back in my bed and I was like, this is kind of what I want to be doing in real life. Like, am I manifesting it finally? But, you know, it's because we're so used to the same stuff being thrown at us every day. I think we have a hard time seeing like our potential, you know, and seeing the fact that like we actually do have potential that's beyond just, you know, what we do in a kind of cyclical way, right? So if you look deeper into like my very short posts over the last 5-6 months, there is a post that talks about jumping onto a new timeline a few months ago, and I'm still on it. I'm still on this moon timeline, and it wasn't like very intentional. It was sort of just like the universe shifting me, because the calendar thing was I was feeling like I was having less and less time every day. And I was like getting in my car, doing the grind, and then coming home and feeling like, whoa. And then I would have these wild and crazy dreams where I was like expressing all of these things that in ways that I wouldn't express in the real world. You know, I was like angry and and I was like, whoa, I need to like start purging this out and like doing it in a constructive way where I can share it and hopefully like, you know, there can be some sort of collective connection, you know? And so I did. And yeah, again, like nothing against the world of glamour and, you know, everything else that's going on, but it's not like when I was younger, it was a lot different. And, you know, they say that each generation doesn't see what the last generation saw, but I don't feel that. I feel that there is a lot of like malicious stuff going on, and that the media is being used in ways that's like really, you know, sad. It makes me really sad. It makes me cry. And it's subconscious, a lot of it, right? And that's why for me the world of dreams is like this teeny tiny little percentage of what people really talk about, and it's themselves. And they don't see it because they're not, you know, you can't go get a prescription for that, right? You can't just go Google it. Like, it's a big like evolution that needs to happen within somebody's self, like anybody's self. And for me, that happened as a child, and there were times where I almost lost it. Like the first time that Britney Spears had her breakdown, I was having my breakdown, and I'd had many breakdowns, and I'd had a lot of support here in Canada, so I was kind of like, you know, like, how could this person just be like completely bombarded and not, you know, why didn't she come here when she could, you know? And to see what the media is doing now of just kind of like treating her like a puppet, right? That would never happen where I am. Like, and if it did, the people have like so many more options, right? Other than just to be like herded around, right? And it doesn't happen to all of them. And so when it does happen, it seems like something that people should just not talk about, right? Because it's none of your business, even though it's like all over the place. So that kind of really bothered me, and that was sort of the beginning of like when this whole channel started to evolve. I had a different channel that's still there, but I really felt like that this was bound to happen because YouTube came out when that was happening, and it was announced on TV that YouTube would be like this clean space that was totally different than TV. You know, people could go on there and just like share, and it was like, you know, folklore and like howdy doody, you know, like play your drums and like do whatever, poetry. But it became very quickly this like another catalyst for, you know, many ill-natured things. And it's just another distraction a lot of times, right? Even though it's still amazing, and I think that it's like something that will last, you know, just like Facebook and all the other things that are there for the whole world to connect. I just feel, you know, sometimes like there's a little bit of grieving going on for the hope that I think a lot of people had, because there's, you know, there was a lot of potential with YouTube to be very different, you know, but we're on planet Earth and everything that happens here is, you know, it feels like it's inevitable, right? So, yeah, and I think there's like a lot of really cool psychics and a lot of amazing spiritual, for lack of a better word, guides and leaders, and I'm into that, and I'm, you know, very picky about the kind of stuff that I follow of that sort, as well as like everything else on social media. And I wish that music was more like universal again, so that people could, you know, just share like they were in a room with a bunch of people. But it just feels like more and more hurdles are being put up, and more hoops and loops and jumps and obstacles. And for a creative person, that's like really kind of stunting for their growth, right? For people that are like businessy and selling stuff and, you know, just shooting off knowledge and shooting off information, that's great. That's really cool, you know. But yeah, I mean, especially in today's world, like this is almost the only place really and the only time that some people have. So that's where I'm at with this channel. And I'm doing like some courses here in my home, and I don't leave very much. I'm here all the time, except for when I zip out to work and back. And that is like a lot. That takes a lot out of me to just even, you know, be doing two things at once. And I have this phone that I've had for like 4 years that my mom left for me, and I barely have time to use it. I use it for like listening to music, and I sing. And I wish that I could like sing more on here, but every time I do, it gets blocked and I can't post it. So I need to like maybe like start writing some songs or something like that and put them on here, because it's lovely to engage. It's so lovely to engage, and it's challenging, and there's so many things to learn about it. And as somebody who, you know, I feel like I come from some kind of magical place, you know, I don't feel like I need to jump into some records or anything like that to know that. And I mean like spiritual records, but just the fact of like how many amazing people I've met in my life, you know, that curiosity alone of like, why are we here? Do we know each other? You know, that's how I feel when I come on here on this channel. On my other channel, I felt like, oh my God, I'm on YouTube. Like I'm deleting that right now. But on this channel, I feel like I can just come on here and I don't need to wear a bra, and I can have like my hair in whatever condition, and like I could be coming like right out of like yoga class, like hot yoga. you know? I could have like lettuce in my teeth. Like, I feel a lot more comfortable because I just set that intention to be really engaged with like some sort of collective that I just feel, you know? I feel it, and like I laugh, and like I don't watch a lot of videos on YouTube, to be honest. Like, I watch a lot of like neuroscience and like yoga and stuff that I'm studying, that I've been studying for a really long time. And again, listen to like a lot of music, but I feel like it's very limiting. Like, I don't feel like there's a lot of like new, like amazing, bewildering, like mind-blowing stuff, you know? I feel like when you watch a psychic reading, it's like the exact same one every time, even though it's not. There are a few out there that are like just fabulous. But, you know, you can get like 50 quadrillion versions of like Stairway to Heaven on YouTube, you know? And I want to like see 50 quadrillion angels or like guides or, you know, some sort of like gods or something like that one day because of YouTube, you know, not just have the same stuff that was on vinyl when I was 4 be on YouTube. Like, I thought it was supposed to be for, you know, like growing in this way that was just ridiculous. And it is, I think it is still. But it's like taste, you know? Eventually you're just kind of like, yeah. Yeah, I got those nutrients again, you know? So, yeah, I'm very drawn here, and I really like it. And I really hope that people like it here too, on this little corner. And I'm just doing my thing, writing, healing, reading, living by kind of like the sun and the moon right now. You know, not looking to like sail any big seas or do anything like humongous, right? But just wake up each day and acknowledge that it's another day, and follow my heart, and try not to like delete try not to delete my life again, right? Just keep going with it, just a little bit at a time. So yeah, and that's like a lot about me instead of a little bit about me. But maybe I'll come and check in again and post more about like the history of myself. I just want people to come here and know that this is, to me, a very sacred space. And all of those words are widely overused. Spiritual, sacred, blah, 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 bliss, this, that, ecstasy, you know, like, ignorance is bliss. And I think if we just ignore everything like I have before, you know, it doesn't really do anything, right? Like, acknowledging and like recognizing and facing it is a lot better. And I think that's how change happens, and that's how big things happen, right? And big things are fun and exciting. So I'm gonna keep coming back because it works. And I love you guys, and I love chocolate, and I love matcha. And I called it matcha for like so long, and my teenager would like correct me every time and thought it was like the silliest thing. And it's matcha. I can't lie. But yeah, if you want to reach out to me and send me lots and lots of hearts, I like hearts, and I like stars, and I like chocolate. Okay. Good night. Love you guys. Come back. Ciao, ciao.